This is very strange. This Polish village has not seen a boy born in nearly 10 years, and here's how that computes. This is on The Conversation. Craig Anderson, lecturer in statistics, University of Glasgow. This is Creative Commons. This is August 21st this year, recent article. The tiny Polish village of Miejce-Ordzanski has become the unlikely source of international media attention over the past 2 weeks as a result of what New York Times called a strange population anomaly. It has now been almost a decade since the last boy was born in this place, with the most recent 12 babies all having been girls. The mayor of the region is quoted in the article as saying there has been scientific interest, presumably from geneticists, in exploring what has led to this unusual sequence. He also discusses some glaringly unscientific advice the town has been given on how to conceive boys, ranging from changing mothers' diets to keeping an axe under your marital bed. Well, I have had friends, cousins, that have had a number of boys and they wanted a girl, and they did change their diet. I had one cousin who started eating more apples for some reason, and she did have a girl finally. But going back to this, and this, of course, this woman lives in New York City, in Manhasset. Now, the most prosaic suggestion mentioned in the article is also, by far, the most likely that it's just a statistical coincidence. So how could this be possible? Just like tossing a coin, the birth has two equal likely outcomes, and therefore the probability of any given baby being a girl is half. We can also assume that each individual birth can be considered to be independent of the previous one. The first mother having a girl does not make it more or less likely that the second mother will have a girl. Therefore, the probability of having two girls in a row is half times half equals half to the squared equals a quarter. By extension, we can see that the probability of 12 consecutive girls being born in Miejce-Ordzanski is 1/2 to the 12th, or 1 of 4,096. In isolation, that sounds extremely unlikely. If you were told there was a 1 in 4,000 chance of it raining tomorrow, then you probably wouldn't bother with your umbrella. However, it's important to remember that these odds relate to the very specific question. Quote, what is the probability of there being 12 consecutive girls born in Miejce-Ordzanski? There's nothing special about this town in Poland. It would still have been international news if the same thing happened in the village in Lithuania or Hungary. Likewise, it would still be equally newsworthy if it had been 12 consecutive boys instead of girls. If we change the question to, what is the probability of the last 12 children born in the same town somewhere in the world all being the same sex, then we see a completely different story. The GeoNames database is an online database containing details of every town in the world with a population of over 500 people. And it suggests that there are just under 200,000 such towns across the whole planet. Based on this, we'd actually expect roughly 50 towns in the world with 12 consecutive girls, and another 50 with 12 consecutive boys. So although this run of girls seems like a strange and unique event to the people of Miejce-Ordzanski, there are in fact probably about 99 other places in the world where something similar is happening right now. Part of the reason why the Miejce-Ordzanski case might have captured so much attention is down to the timescale involved. It is a very small village of just 272 people, with a birth rate of not much more than 1 per year. That means that this run of 12 girls is extended over almost a decade, which is what has attracted so much attention. In comparison, there were 6,852 babies born here in Glasgow in 2017, which corresponds to about 19 per day. If we had 12 girls born in a row here, it's unlikely anyone would even notice, since there would actually be several boys born on the same day, as well as the day before that and the following day. Paradoxes and illusions. This is all part of what eminent mathematician and magician Percy Diaconis calls the blade of grass paradox. Suppose you walk into a field and pluck one blade of grass out of the ground. There were millions of blades which you could have picked, and no matter which one you picked, the odds of you getting that particular one were 1 in several million. Every possible outcome is extremely unlikely, but one of them has to happen. It's a similar idea to the UK National Lottery. The 6 numbers on your ticket have roughly a 1 in 45 million chance of winning, but of course the same is true of whichever 6 numbers are actually drawn from a machine. Human beings are notoriously terrible at identifying and understanding randomness, mainly because our brains work on the notion of pattern recognition. This concept of seeing patterns in random data has a number of names, is often known as the clustering illusion or the hot hand fallacy. If we go back to the Polish babies, the exact sequence GGBB, GB, GBB, GBB, that is G for girl and B for boy, also has a 1 in 4,096 chance of happening. That's because it is achieved by 12 consecutive random events, each with a probability of half, just the same as a GG, 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 all girls that is. But if this had happened over the past decade in Miecz or Zansky, then nobody would have paid the slightest bit of attention because it seems more normal. Making sense of these types of probabilistic paradoxes is essentially why we statisticians exist. Rather than answering the question, quote, what are the chances of this happening, end quote, we instead look at the inverse problem. Quote, this has happened. What are the chances that it is just down to randomness, end quote. Thinking about the world in this way helps us to realize that a lot of things that seem improbable, such as the 12 girls in a row in Miecz or Zansky, are in fact completely normal and indeed expected. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.